Hey, lovely ones, and welcome back to the Wellness Business Show. How are you doing? It's so good to be back. Last week was the first episode in about 18 months. And before we dive into today's hot topic, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you. Honestly, the relaunch, the comeback, whatever you want to call it, was out of this world. The support was incredible. Obviously, as I said in the episode, if you haven't listened, go and have a listen. It was a vulnerable one. It was like long in the making. I was kicking myself as to why I hadn't done it sooner. And isn't that always the way once you actually do the thing? Even more so, right? Because I was like, we had record downloads. I had so many amazing messages. And yeah, I know lots of you resonated. So just wanted to say thank you so much for that. Also, for those of you that sent in questions, they were really juicy. They were awesome. And I know your answers, or the answers I gave you to those questions, really helped other people. So it kind of felt obvious when thinking about today's episode to give you an episode all about the kind of behind the scenes of this podcast comeback. Not just because I think I've learned a lot, and I am someone who always endeavors to share my learnings in real time. I think that's where the most value is, but also because this isn't something that you're just going to navigate once in your business. And I know that a huge majority of you listening to this will have the comeback nudges in your body right now. Like there'll be something in your business that you've been thinking of either totally retiring, like maybe there's been something that you've just not been doing for a while and you've been getting those niggles around, oh, should I bring it back? Have people noticed? I really don't want to bring it back. There's those things. But there'll also be a ton of you who feel like, a little bit like I did, that there's something you actually really want to bring back. Maybe there's something you let slip. Maybe there's life's been lifing and there's something in your business that's gathering dust and you want to bring it back. Maybe you want to bring it back in a new way, but you're not quite sure how to navigate it. Maybe things have felt like it's felt like too much time's passed. Maybe it's felt like you've missed the boat. Maybe you felt like it's been so long no one's gonna be interested anymore. It could even be something like maybe you teased a new service or a new offer that you were going to bring out a while ago and people said they were keen and you were ready to go, and then something happened which meant you couldn't, and now you're afraid that it's too late. Are people still interested? So this episode is just going to be all around how to navigate a comeback in a way that you can apply to any of the above. If there's anything that you are questioning whether you should bring back, or something you know you want to bring back, but you're just not sure how to navigate it. So the first major learning in my podcast comeback, but any kind of comeback that I've had, and actually I've had a few because of everything I told you in the last episode around the last few years and how turbulent it's been and how many life changes I've had, there has been quite a few quote unquote comebacks, or reinventing things or changing things or having to iterate things. And what I have learned, and what is the hardest thing to do, but the thing that when you do it is the thing that you are so grateful you did, is being willing to be vulnerable. So as I mentioned in last week's episode, it's really easy to think that you've got to come back with this perfect story, the finesse, like well, I totally meant to do this. Here's why. And this is why this is all amazing. And it's entirely strategic. But the truth is, for most of us, life and business is a little bit messy. And we're told that messiness is the thing that we need to it's like the cupboard we've all got in our houses where we're struggling to shut the door. Keep the business mess in that cupboard and present yourself as this perfectly polished strategic human. And whilst that creates a whole load of safety mechanisms for us, and there's a real reason why I understand you'd want to do that, what that does more than anything, and actually the greatest damage that it can cause to your business, is it creates distance between you and the people that you want to work with. People buy from people. Our humanity connects us. And so if you're willing to level with your people, with your community, and get on the ground and say, life's been tricky, be really real, explain the process, maybe talk about how challenging things have been to come back, you'll find that it's that vulnerability that builds the trust and the magnetism. And ultimately, although the comeback or although the thing that you may be procrastinating on at the moment, I'm going to imagine your greatest fears are not actually around, will I make more sales? Will people like this? You're kind of before that. You're even at the stages of like, can I make this happen? Is anyone even interested? And so whilst you might not be thinking right now about, is this comeback going to immediately equate to elevating my business, creating more sales, creating more impact? The truth is, these are the moments that people remember. Whenever I speak to clients that have been in my world for a long time, and they tell me the story about how they maybe came across me for the first time, it will so often be a podcast episode I did that was really vulnerable, a post they saw on Instagram that really connected with them in a deep and meaningful way, a story I shared about something's going on in my life or in my business. It's so often those meaningful, vulnerable moments that kept me in the hearts of mind of my client, as opposed to my strategic genius. It's a little bit much, but anything that I put out there in terms of how to build a wellness business, because we know that we can get a lot of this information from so many people, so many places. And so can your clients. They can go to so many people and so many places to get your information, but they can't get it delivered in the way you deliver it. They can't get it delivered by someone that has your story, your experience, your empathy, your ability to connect and relate to them and their situation. So finding times where you can really, really get vulnerable and honest with your community is a game changer. So whilst it may feel uncomfortable now, and you may be working on the best version of this comeback story that you feel makes you look the best or makes the story look the most intentional and strategic and polished, I'd invite you to actually ask yourself, what version of the story, or where's the truth in this story? Where's the authenticity in this story that's actually going to relate to the story of my clients and help them see me as someone that not only talks the talk, but that can walk the walk. So that's the first thing, is be willing to get vulnerable. The second is to trust the process. So comebacks are rarely neat and they are rarely linear. So one thing that I came up against time and time and time again in bringing this podcast back was this feeling that I keep leaving it too long. I really was getting stuck on, I've said it's going to be coming back a few times and it hasn't. And actually, as a personal value of mine, that's something I really find challenging. So if someone says they're going to do something and they don't do it, really, really like gets me. And I didn't want to be that person. And the fact that I was like kicking the can further and further down the road was starting to make me think like, I don't know if I can bring this back now. I've left it too long. I've made too many false promises that it's coming back. And the truth was, when I was doing that, I was moving really into this fear state. I wasn't trusting the process. I was thinking that this was a lot more about me and my stuff and how it would make me look and feel, as opposed to trusting the process of the kind of universal timing of it coming back. It's come back when it needed to come back. And it's so interesting to me that often we spout this stuff around like trusting the process and universal magic and everything happens for a reason when things are going our way, right? So when things are good, when we can make sense of things, when we want to duplicate something or want to be like, you know what? And then this mega synchronistic event happened and it was just all meant to be. And it was beautiful. But as soon as things are a bit messy and clunky and scrappy, and actually maybe we aren't showing up as the best version of ourselves and timelines aren't as we'd like them to be, and et cetera, we move far away from trusting the process. So here's just my invitation right now, that if you've been berating yourself a little bit recently and thinking like, oh my goodness, I keep saying I was going to do it, I haven't done it, I don't want to be that person. Do you know what? I'm just going to throw all that in the garbage and I'm going to start over. If you are worried about all of how that looks, I'd invite you to come back to trusting the process. Get curious about if actually the previous timelines you had, maybe they wouldn't have worked, maybe they weren't the right time. And what you can actually do from this place, if you're thinking about a comeback, is to tune in with when would feel good. So sometimes we're promising the next launch, we're promising the thing to come back, we're promising this, new rebrand or whatever it might be, again, because of out of fear, because we know we want to do it, we know it's on the horizon, we know something needs to change. But rather than us truly connecting with what's right for us here and now and what might be right for our client communities, we kind of knee-jerk react from a place of fear. So my invitation here is to ask yourself right now, get curious about the thing that you want to bring back. And if there were no judgment, if there were no time pressures, if there were no, oh my goodness, I've already said this is going to come out and it hasn't, and all of that, when would you really want to do it? Like hand on heart moment, tune in, even maybe grab like your best business buddy, or if you're in my membership, jump into the membership and just make that declaration around, this is when I actually want to do it. This feels really good to me. This feels really aligned, and move to that timeline. A timeline that feels aligned, intentional, and in alignment with your vision and mission, not one that's based on fear, that's based on this kind of rat race, that's based from a place that doesn't truly align with your vision. Because actually that story, that authenticity story, that launch process is going to feel far more exciting for your community, far more exciting for you, and you're going to be far more likely to execute. So messy is okay. What matters is momentum. So once we start, once we get into alignment, once we make that commitment that feels good, it's then about building that steady alignment. Now, my third big lesson was to reflect before you return. So as I kind of alluded to in that last point, don't come back just for the sake of it or out of guilt. Don't bring something back just because you think you have to, you should, well, I said I would, all of these things. And actually, the best anecdote from my business journey that I can give to you here, less of a comeback, although I did keep coming back, is when I kind of started to get this really clear indication that I wasn't wanting to continue to be a hands-on practitioner. So just to catch any of you up that don't know, I used to be like, my kind of origin story and why I work with the wellness industry is because I was a wellness practitioner myself. So I originally trained as a beauty and holistic practitioner. My kind of zone of genius, my main lane became body work, energy work, and fusing the two. And I had opened and established my 13-year-old day spa. I was one of the main practitioners there for a good 8-9 years. But the last few years, I just knew it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. I could do it in my sleep. I was really good at it. I was fully booked all the time. I had wait lists. The business side of it was thriving, but I was bored. And that sounds really bad, but I was bored. It was kind of too easy. I genuinely could do it in my sleep. I loved it in the sense that I loved giving back. I loved how much my clients loved it and all of that. But it was clear to me that there was this sense every day that I was going into work now, and I knew that I had that full column. There was just this kind of sense of, let's get through it. And I've never been someone that wants to work in that way. I've always been so lucky to do what I love. Now, I said many times during those last few years of treating that I was going to stop, and I kept coming back. I kept coming back because I felt guilty. So I'd have clients that were like, what if you just did one treatment a month for me? Would you do that? I just can't find anyone else that I resonate with in the same way. Or there'd be so many reasons. Or there'd be a day where I had staff off and I'd be like, I could just go and do it. I could fill the gap that day. And I did it so many times that I was having multiple comebacks. There was times where, oh yeah, Kirsty's back in the diary. Who wants to book in? But I didn't really want to do it. And I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. Now, was that catastrophic to my business? No. Was it really detrimental to me? Not really. There were just days that I perhaps didn't enjoy as much as I could have enjoyed. But I guess the question mark will always be, could I be further into where I am now had I stuck to my own commitment, which was I think we're done here. We're going to move on. Who knows, right? Who knows? I don't regret any of that, but I think it's just really important, that we get clear on what we want. Like, why are we coming back? Are we coming back because it feels good to us, is part of our future vision and mission? We can see this really clear pathway. It's going to, like, what's it going to give us? What's the ripple effect of that? How's it going to feel for us? Or are we doing it because of some sort of external expectation, through some sort of guilt, or because it's like following some sort of norm, right? Like, this is just what we have to do. Or because you've made the commitment, you've said you're going to do it. So just get really clear, because your leadership is important here. Your leadership energy comes from clarity. And what I have learned over and over and over again is that if you force yourself to do something, that deep desire, the innate authenticity in you will try to sabotage it anyway. So you will find yourself doing other things, getting distracted, getting poorly. You'll find yourself like just not showing up with the right energy, having not great days. There'll be a million signs. So we really need to make sure the comeback is intentional and truly, truly desired. Now, if that is the case, I want you to see every comeback as a mammoth opportunity. I will often talk to my clients about this in any way, shape, or form. If there is any way that you are coming back with that new energy, you're shaking things up, you're changing things, it's a huge opportunity for your business. It's a huge opportunity for you to rejig other things. So I would absolutely say, if you're someone that's thinking about bringing something back or revamping something or having some sort of your own comeback, ask yourself if there's any other aspects in your business that can kind of piggyback on it. Is there, like, I don't know, if you're bringing out and bringing back a new service, is there a way of like rebranding it? Is there a way of launching a podcast that sits alongside it? Is there a way of, I don't know, introducing a lead magnet that sits alongside it? Is there a way of your rebranding, relaunching a podcast, that you run a competition to incentivize people to leave you reviews? Whatever that might be, it's really important that you notice that whilst a comeback can often feel riddled with obstacles, it's because it's not quite the same as bringing something new to the world, right? A comeback suggests that there's been iterations of it before. Maybe there was a moment where something stopped, slowed down, wrapped up, or by accident went into hiatus. Whatever that might be, the obstacles will often outweigh the opportunity. And one of my favorite sayings is, every obstacle births an opportunity. So whilst I understand that the navigating the comeback might feel clunky and tricky, and that might be where you're stuck right now, how do I just manage this well? I'd really invite you to like flip it. And even get a journal and a pen and be like, if this obstacle could present me with 20 opportunities, what could they be? And just brain dump. Like, how is the universe working its magic here to actually engineer what's feeling a bit, clunky and resistance-full right now into something that's actually going to introduce a whole new world of opportunities to me? I mean, for me, that opportunity, whilst lots of things, because I've rebranded my membership, all of that kind of jazz, it was an opportunity for me to connect back with listeners. I've connected with lots of people that have been listening to the podcast who I had no idea about. Lots of people DM me and were like, you're back. I've been listening to your whole back catalogue while you've been away. And those were totally new connections, and therefore new opportunities for me and those people in my business and in their businesses. So make sure you get clear on what your opportunities are and you maximize on them. So don't rush into this. Don't feel like it's just a kind of like hold my breath until I've done it and then it's just a huge sigh of relief. Ask yourself where those opportunities are. Now, my fifth and final biggest lesson from navigating a comeback is to crowdsource your comeback. So one of the greatest resistances we have when navigating a comeback is the external perception, right? So for me, it was like, I keep saying the podcast is coming back, it's not coming back. Does anyone want it to come back? Should I bring it back? Am I going to be able to commit to keeping it there? Like, I don't want to be flaky. I don't want to bring it back and then stop. Has anyone even noticed that it's not been around? And thankfully, I was getting loads and loads of like universal nudges of people being like, is the podcast coming back? And the closer I got to relaunching it and the more those gremlins were coming up, the more I got that, which was for me like a big, big sign. And even looking at the like downloads and stuff, even before I got to the comeback episode, things were starting to gain momentum. It was really interesting. But the really important thing here is if you can find a way to crowdsource your comeback, you will feel so much more supported in it, and you will just enjoy the comeback process so much more. You'll maximize on those opportunities, and those in your community will also benefit so much more from it. Now, what do I mean? So for me, crowdsourcing my comeback looked like way early doors, talking about it. I'm thinking about bringing the podcast back. What do you guys think? There's been a bit of a story as to why it went on a, hiatus. And I'd love the opportunity to share that with you if you want it to come back. So there was some of that. There was reaching out to my email list and saying, I'm bringing the podcast back and I'd love some great questions to answer on that first comeback episode. You can ask me anything about your business, about the comeback, all of it. And I got some incredible questions, but alongside those questions, I also got lots of affirmation that people wanted the podcast back. So I'm so excited to hear it's come back. Here are my questions. I was buzzing to get your email and say it was coming back. All of that kind of jazz. And then we also crowdsourced the visuals. Now, if you help me crowdsource the visuals, you'll know that the visuals we agreed upon aren't the visuals that I use. But that's because I did another brand shoot and then I found some more visuals that I just thought would be a little bit more timeless. But regardless, you helped me when that shoot came out. You helped me choose your favorite photos from that shoot. You helped me get clear on how I was going to the overall layout of the visuals. And ultimately, my community were part of that comeback. So it's really an interesting thing to invite your audience in, ask questions, poll visuals, get their input. Just get curious. If you have had some low-level interest in the thing that you're bringing back. So maybe, as I was saying earlier, maybe you were teasing something or testing something, and now you feel like you've left it too long to bring it back. Go and reconnect with those people. If they were on wait lists, if they were filling out some forms, if there were some founding members, go and speak to those people. Revive those conversations. They always say, don't they? Fortune is in the follow-up. So it's never too late. We often think it's too late or they don't want to hear from me now. Go and follow up with those people. And the greatest gift that this will give you as it relates to your comeback is feeling like you're not doing this alone. It's a little bit like if you launch a new program or service and you've got your first few people in. It's like your community's bought in, they're excited, they're rooting for you, and then for you, it is full steam ahead. So I'd really encourage you not to kind of keep this a secret until the day you hit publish, but to invite your community in so that you feel supported, they feel part of it, and I promise you the comeback will be even bigger. So they're my thoughts on how to navigate a comeback. And my final thoughts are, if it's been on your mind, if you haven't been able to let it go, if every time you let yourself imagine what it might be like to bring that thing back or rebrand it or relaunch it, you get giddy, you get excited, you really want to run out and tell everyone, then I'd really encourage you to do it. If all that's stopping you right now is navigating it, I hope these tips will really help. I hope you'll implement them. And I hope you'll also know that resistance is a sign that you're doing something stretchy, something exciting, something that really could have the potential to move the needle in your business. So there is massive power in a comeback done right. And when I say right, I don't mean in some sort of textbook strategic step-by-step way. I mean in a way that's really authentic, that allows your audience in on the journey and that allows them in to kind of see your grow up, right? And to say that I find things tricky too. I find these hard to navigate as well, but I'm out here on the leading edge doing scary shit. And I really think leading the way, and I'd love you to come with me and help me help you do the same. It can really deepen your connection with your audience, refresh your vision, and activate new momentum. I think it's important not to underestimate, particularly if you're a business that's building their brand out there in the wild, like on Instagram, on podcast platforms, on YouTube, with an email list, no matter how big or small. I think often we can think well, no one really cares. No one's really keeping an eye on me. But the lurkers are there, right? They are there. They will be noticing. Those people that are your people that are ready to buy, that want to work with you, they're the ones really tracking this. They're the ones that you and them will benefit the most from this comeback. And they're the ones you want to hear from in navigating the process. It will bring you closer. They'll feel more confident that they can share some ideas with you around how they best want to be served by you. And you'll find this comeback has a huge ripple effect in ways that right now you possibly can't even see it. So if you are in that comeback season, if you're starting to think about what the end of your 2025 and 2026 might look like, let this be your permission slip to come back in a way that feels fully you. And remember, if you need a cheer squad of people that can support these kind of comebacks, that can support any journey in your business, then don't forget to come and check out my membership, the now known as the Wellness Business Club. I'll pop the link in the show notes, because sometimes, particularly in these moments where you're navigating comebacks, you need some really epic business owners in your corner. All right, my lovely, if you are navigating a comeback and you've had a few aha moments from this episode, jump into my DMs. I'm at Kirsty Kiani over on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. And if you've enjoyed this episode or any other episode on the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode, maybe with your business bestie who's been talking to you about bringing something back. Maybe they've mentioned it a few times and it's still not here. Maybe they've told you they think that maybe they can't bring it back because they've waited too long, not sure if anyone really wants it, feel like they've been kicking the can down the road. And this is the episode they need to hear to bring that back to life. All right, my lovelies, I will see you same place, same time next week. Take care. Bye.